segment this week, I'll be speaking with the ILO Governing Board Chair, Ambassador Richard Adejola. He brings us up to speed on activities at the ILO conference while highlighting some of the achievements of the Governing Board in the last 1 year.
I have the honor to present my report to you as document ILC.112/report 1, parenthesis C. The report I am submitting to the conference contains a summary of the most salient discussions that took place in the governing body since the 111th session of the conference. It is a report focused on keeping the organization's tripartite constituents informed of the decisions taken by the governing body, whose membership is limited and changes every 3 years, as will be the case during this session of the conference. This makes it even more important as the decisions taken set the direction for the work of the organization in each of its member states. Foremost, permit me to commend the tripartite members of the governing body for the dedication with which they carried out their work over the past 12 months. While it might be vigorous, intense, and outrightly demanding on many occasions, both for our delegates and for the office staff who worked tirelessly to support us, our discussions led to reconcile dissonant positions through consensus building in most cases. Of course, our work has not been an easy one, but for the most part, we have succeeded in bringing it to successful conclusions. And I thank you all for your efforts, commitment, and support. I could not present to you the fruits of this joint effort without first stressing how important it has been for my country, Nigeria, to be able to contribute to the work of the ILO as chair of the governing body. Nigeria has not held this position since 1972, 52 years ago, and it has been my distinct privilege to assume this responsibility. I sincerely hope I have done my best possible to represent the commitment of all actors in the world of work, both in my country, in Africa, and other regions, to the advancement of decent work as a means and end to achieve through social justice for us and for future generations. The report I present to you today speaks for itself, insofar as it contains a detailed account of subjects examined by the governing body held at our 5 sessions of the work, which involved the short 348th session held last June, the 349th session in November 2023, the 350th session in March 2024, and the 2 special sessions held in November 2023, namely the 349th bis and 349th tar sessions. I will therefore not repeat the contents of the report, but limit myself to a few additional comments that will hopefully give you a flavor of the matters we considered and how the work was conducted. The Global Coalition for Social Justice, as envisioned by His Excellency the Director General of the ILO, and taking into account the guidance provided in the governing body discussions, has been established and will hold its inaugural forum next week, that is on 13th June 2024. Through this coalition, the organization aims to deepen the commitment of the international community to the promotion of social justice, while advancing the implementation of the Decent Work Agenda and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals. This year, the office has undertaken advocacy and engagement efforts to promote the coalition and has defined its thematic policy domains. A first report of the state of social justice in the world is expected to be published in 2025 as part of the office's contribution to the coalition. Director General, I wish you every success in the next stages of the coalition and warmly invite conference participants to attend its inaugural forum next week. As you are aware, the right to strike under Convention number 87 was the subject of 2 special sessions of the governing body in November 2023. At the 349th B special session held on 10th November, the governing body of the ILO decided to refer a dispute over the right to strike to the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Delegates took a decision by vote to urgently refer the matter to the court. At the 349th special session of the governing body held on 11th November, a proposal to urgently include a standard-setting item on the right to strike on the agenda of this 112th session of the ILC was not endorsed. The governing body decided that after receiving advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice, it would consider appropriate follow-up action. This year, the governing body also followed up on several resolutions previously adopted by the conference. This included the resolution concerning the second recurrent discussion on labor protection and the resolution concerning a just transition towards environmentally sustainable economies and societies for all. The governing body also followed up on the cases of non-observance of international labor standards under various articles of the ILO Constitution. The discussions that took place in this context once again proved that by combining the standard-setting function of the organization with the clear political will of member states whose cases were examined, results in favor of social dialogue and social justice could be achieved. I would therefore like to commend constituents from all member states whose cases have been on the governing body's agenda this year for their commitment and resolve to promote the principles and values that motivate our collective action every day. Ongoing conflicts which have had profound impact on the world of work were also discussed at length by the governing body. The ILO has indeed been vigilant in its monitoring of the impact of these conflicts in cooperation with UN bodies and has mobilized resources in support of the affected regions. Since October 2023, the escalation of the conflict in the occupied Arab territories has required urgent ILO action to mitigate its impact on the labor market and provide immediate assistance. A special sitting to be held this Thursday, 6th June, will also allow us to discuss the appendix to the Director General's report on that subject. I should like to conclude by expressing the great honor and privilege it has been for me to serve as chairperson of the governing body of the International Labour Office over the past year. As my term comes to an end, I hope that under the new administration, the noble founding principles of this institution will continue to nurture the seeds of the future of work, and as we seek to harvest for the sake of a lasting peace, firmly rooted in social justice. Before I close, I would like to thank the employers and workers' vice presidents, my dear friends, Madame Honotros and Madame Pasquier. Thank you so very much for the work we have done together over the past 12 months. It has become immensely clear to me how important it is that While representing their respective groups, the officers of the governing body share a common perspective and responsibility for the work of the ILO itself. This sense of collective responsibility can only be achieved by working collegially in the best interest of the organization and its constituents. My final words are those of thanks and appreciation to the wise and coherent Director General, a man of enormous grace and elan, urbane and debonair. I can truly confirm his eloquent inaugural speech commitment when he said to be Director General of nobody and the Director General of everybody from all regions across the world, as well as his total readiness to represent and advocate that the views of all tripartite constituents of the organization. It has been such a huge honor to work with and learn from the DG. I also commend the positivity and professionalism demonstrated by the Deputy Director General, together with the 5 Assistant Director Generals, the directors, and their teams for the constant support they provided. Finally, I profoundly acknowledge my very own President, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, DCFR, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for the opportunity given me to serve in this capacity. I am truly and exceedingly grateful. I look forward to meeting you again at the 351st session of the governing body, which will take place on Saturday, 15th June, at which point I will the baton to my successor. With these words, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my report on the work of the governing body for the period June 2023 to June 2024.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.